Welcome to Shomar Shova on the Daf. She was sponsored Lunishma Asam Yakashom Daf Basitzchok. We're holding Metzia Daf Pehei. The Gemara towards the end of Amud Aleph says, based on the pasuk, "Vanizos brisi chuche shalecho dvarai shasati picho lo emushu picho pizaracho pi zaracho me'ato ve'adoilo." There is a source that calls Shehuta B'chacham, Ubnoita B'chacham, Ubemrota B'chacham. The fathers Talmid Chacham, the sons Talmid Chacham, the grandsons Talmid Chacham. We have 3 generations of Talmid Chachamim. Shuv ein HaTorah Prisekes Mizari. The Torah doesn't stop from that family. And the more continues and explains. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Ani arev lecha b'davar zeh." I'm the guarantor. And me'ato ve'adoilom Torah mechazeres al echsei mishalah. The Torah goes and is searching, going back to its original host, meaning to the family where the Torah was originally. There's many questions on this Gemara, but we'll start with one that some of the Farshi point out, that we find many times that there are families that had 3 generations of Torah, and the 4th generation is not Torah-dik. So what happened with this promise? So the Sefer Chasidim, in Kuf and Vov, brings this concept of our Gemara, and he says if you find that the 4th generation doesn't have Torah, that means they did not marry well. בידוע שהסחתנו במי שאין דינם להסחתן. They married improper families. Continue to say Chassidim and say that's why a person should be very careful who he marries his children to. Should be mishpachos biyuchasos, yoshamayim, toiru gmius chasodim, in order for the hemshech of the doors to continue. The Divrei Shaul, Baal Asher L'Meishi, he brings in the name of the Ktsois. Well, the Gemara says that the Torah stays with that family. It doesn't mean that it stays, that every generation will learn Torah and continue. But they have that spark that can always be ignited. He brings an example. When you light a fire, just a regular fire, and the fire is extinguished, there's no more fire. But if you have wood that was lit and it became coal, so there's always some sparks that are left inside. What the Gemara is telling us is that the source, that spark of Torah is always in that family. And if anybody comes up and achieves it, it will be easier for him to connect to it. And this leads us to what the Maharsha says over here, and what Chaim Volozhin writes in Ruach Chaim. And really they're coming to answer a very strong question. How can we come and say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is promising that Torah stays in this family? Doesn't a person need to accomplish Torah, to learn Torah on his own? Does it come as a matana, as a gift? So Zog the Maharsha and Zog Yochai Volozhin here, because really it says in the Mishnah in Avos, Hatken Atzmecho Lilmoy Torah She'ein Yerusha. You don't get the Torah B'Yerusha. Says the Maharsha. That's why the Gemara is saying over here, because Baruch Hu says, Ani Orev, I'm a guarantor. What is a guarantor? A regular guarantor. You have a borrower, and the borrower needs to pay. He tries to pay, he can't pay, so then comes the guarantor. But the obligation is on the borrower. Says the Maharsha here as well. The son, the great-grandson, needs to learn Torah on his own. If he learns Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help him out. And he says, that's what the Gemara says, Me'atav Adoilom, what is it? Torah mechazeres al achsan shalom. What does it mean, mechazeres al achsan shalom? It should have says, chozeres al achsan shalom, goes back. What is mechazeres? So Maharsha says, the pshat is, the Torah that he's learning, that Torah that the great-grandchild is learning, that is pushing him to come back to his family, meaning to reach the level of his forefathers. And the way Rav Chaim Volozhin writes it in a more clear way. He brings a question of his brother, the known tzaddik of Zalman Volozhin. They asked, what do you mean, if you have a grandfather, father, and son, so the Torah stays in the family, so all Am Yisrael have a grandfather, father, and son. Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, 3 generations. So everybody should stay with Torah. So answers Chaim Volozhin is similar to the Maharsha, that of course the Torah doesn't come automatically to that mishpacha, but anybody in the mishpacha who tries, who wants, then the Torah will come to him. And he says that's pshat in the words mechazer tzachsan shalom. It's like someone who's coming and trying to be a guest by someone's house. So he knocks on the door. If the host is interested, opens the door for him, so the guest will come in. But if the host is not interested, so the guest will not come in. The Torah is trying to come, but someone has to open the door for her. And this concept, this Moshe is brought down in Chovetz Chaim as well, The Torah is like a guest coming, trying to find a host, but you need to have a host. You need to have someone who's interested in Torah. The Chiddush is that someone who belongs to a family of Torah, so then for him it will be easier to connect and to elevate with Torah if he puts the time and effort into it. That's the haftacha of picho, pisaracho, u'pi zeracho, me'ato ve'ad olam. We shall all be zoiche to this. Anyone who wants to join the Shomach Shava email list to WhatsApp group, please email shomachshava@gmail.com.